So I want to bring to you an interview that I did with the wonderful ladies at Eversio Wellness, Brandi Garden and Desiree, Dr. Desiree Caruso. So I've been using mushrooms with my kiddos and my clients for a very long time, and we really wanted to talk about how I used them through pregnancy and breastfeeding and with my kiddos because there's nothing out there in terms of what you should and shouldn't to do. And so I just want to share my experience, and I did that with them. And you can take what you would like from this episode. And there are lots of little hidden hacks in here, especially when it comes to helping your kiddos sleep. If you have PCOS, if you have really low energy, you'll hear some of the things that I do with my clients. So it's a nugget filled episode, but I just wanted to give you that introduction because technically they are doing the interview of me. They were gracious enough to allow us to use this episode, but none of this is medical advice. I want to just state that this is just my personal experience and what I do with myself and my family. If you have never, ever used Eversio Wellness mushrooms before, I truly think that they will change your life. But if you haven't, you can use the discount code LEAH, L-E-A-H, to save 15%. And that actually applies to all orders. So not just your first order. But let me know if you have any questions. I would love, after you listen to this episode, to let me know which one resonated the most with you, because we go over a lot of different hacks that you can use. So I would love to know.
To start us all off, can you tell our listeners a little bit about your journey and really what drew you into the world of women's hormones and working with clients in this regard in the first place?
So I think with everybody in this field, you have a personal story. Otherwise, there is no way you end up in the health field. I mean, I don't really know how you could, because it is definitely a lot of work. But I actually went to college for music, got my bachelor's in piano and voice, and literally that was my life. I was a full-time professional musician until my hormones took me out, and that's when we had a pivot. So when I graduated college, sometime that next year, I got diagnosed with fibroadenomas, which are benign breast tumors. And up until this point, I had had a lot of issues. Like I had hormonal acne, I had irregular and sometimes missing periods. Like I would go months without a cycle. And I was just like, I'm stressed, or I'm in school, or I started a
Or
new workout
yay.
program.
So many women would feel like, yeah, I get to skip one, but now.
That too.
Yeah, it's not
At
really
that
a
point,
gift.
I didn't know, but my periods were so incredibly painful. Like I would be on your highest dose of Midol and I would be throwing up. There was a lot of times when I would teach and I would have to cancel. Like I couldn't go teach my students, even though I'd already had all the Midol that you could have in that time period. But what threw me into the health was my fibroadenomas, because breast cancer actually runs on both sides of my family. I have an aunt and a grandma on one side and then grandma on the other side. Like I'm encapsulated with it. So that's what first started me like, okay, you have to do something about this. And it was such a long journey and so frustrating and so many tears, but I honestly wouldn't trade it because it gave me so much empathy for a long journey of healing, right? My journey was not you go through something and you feel better in 30 days. It was years. It was years because unfortunately, not everybody's created equal in the functional health space. And I went through a lot of doctors and a lot of practitioners that just aren't very good at what they do, honestly. Like they get very laser focused on one thing, heavy metals are your issues, or it's just because you have a genetic mutation or estrogen dominance. Like nobody was looking at the full picture. And it wasn't until I took my health in my own hands, I was like, no more doing this protocol that's not working and trying to listen to all these different people. And that's when I went and read books, like read books. I think they're a great educational resource, and you can then make an informed decision off of that. So I read a lot of books and I went back to school, and yeah, I was able to literally get painless periods, which I remember my first painless period. That is how impactful it was on my life. I had planned to go to the zoo that day with my husband because he was off school. This was before we had kids. And I remember mentioning multiple times, my period is due that day. I don't think I can go to the zoo. Like, that's how much it would impact my life. Like, I couldn't go somewhere. And he's like, okay, well, why don't we try? And if we have to like come back, we'll come back. And that entire day, probably every 20 minutes, I'm like, I don't have crayons. This is so weird.
It's
I
so
was like,
awesome.
what is going on? And I was able to get my progesterone up. So I was able to get pregnant. My luteal phase, ovulation to period, was 8 days. So basically I was told, like, unless you get your progesterone up, you can't get pregnant. And I had tried progesterone supplementation, which did nothing actually for me. And so, yeah, and then I came full circle and I'm like, everybody needs to know that you can have painless periods. And then my business just started because so many women were out there who were like, wait, what? You can have painless periods. You don't have to move your life around it. You can have energy. You can raise your progesterone naturally. And it just came naturally. I don't really have a TMI filter. So I was like, let's just talk about all the things. And it kind of just, it turned into a business.
It turns out people love authenticity, and that's why we found you, because when we saw you talking real talk to real women who were going through, how many women do we know that are going through exactly what you just talked about, but don't have the wherewithal to pick up the book, don't have the time. It's not their priority because they're living in fight or flight. They're not sitting and reading and educating themselves. So although you were a musician and there was this other path for you, to me, there's no doubt you're doing what you were meant to do. And sometimes we, take a long and winding road to get on the path of our purpose. And I'm so glad that you did, because just that little bit that you said there, it doesn't happen in a day. And you did try other things. You didn't, I'm not going to go Western medical at all. You have to try it and fail at it to know that you've checked those things off the list. And I think more and more today, people they just want to skip that part. They want to skip the Western medical because it's gotten this bad rap. But I think there's still value in checking those things off the list and making sure. And there can be little bits of support there. But really, when you take it into your own hands and you start listening to your body, I love that for you. And then, I mean, you didn't ovulate once. You got 3 beautiful babies out of the deal, and maybe more, because maybe something that our listeners don't know is that Leah comes from 8 children in her own family. She is one of 8 kids. So to be able to grow a beautiful family because you took control of your health and had a supportive husband in there, I don't think there's a better success story out there. I love that so much. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah, of course.
I think it's really cool too that when you're working with women, and you can see this in all of your educational stuff that you're putting out there, whether it's social media, your podcast, which if you haven't checked that out, you need to check out all of Leah's resources because it's so comprehensive. I love that it's really education first, like education focused, so that women can really take that into account and tackle their health from a multitude of different areas. And I would say you are probably one of the loudest voices out there from a practitioner who talks about functional mushrooms. Like, you are definitely, you've experienced the benefits. I know when you're working with your clients, you are taking in this whole comprehensive approach, but with functional mushrooms in particular, how do you use that within your clinical practice?
So I'm trying to think if we ever don't recommend a mushroom, and I don't think we do. So sometimes it goes into our client's main protocol, like, you have to do this. Well, I mean, you can make an educated choice to do this, I guess.
We highly recommend.
But we actually also have this list of general to-dos. Like, these are amazing things that you could add to your life if you want to go the step above for your protocol. And it's always things like castor oil packs and magnesium baths and tart cherry juice for before sleep and more breath work and sunshine. And we always put reishi and the 3 mushroom blend in there because we're like, if you want to start your day off with antioxidant, immune, energy, and then support your sleep, so that it always is in our general good to-dos, but we also bring it in all the time in their recommended protocols. I would say the two that we bring in the most is going to be the 3 mushroom blend and reishi, except for now you got my doggy. So now it's going to be
because of you. Because how long did you ask for it before we actually put it?
Since I found you guys, like 2 years, I think I've been like, please bring my doggy. Because one, when we can get more energy for our clients, then obviously they're going to do all of the things. But we also have so many clients that are dealing with chronic fatigue. And with chronic fatigue, we're looking at their labs and we're like, okay, blood sugar balance is really important here. We also need to do a lot of work with your electrolytes. And sometimes you have pathogens. And I just go, okay, this is going to be a long road to get your energy back, right? It's not going to be, this quick 5 days and you're going to be feeling amazing. You're going to notice steady improvement, but it's going to be a little bit of a hike here. And I love to give my chronic fatiguers a quick win. And that's the 3 mushroom blend, because it gives them, oh, I feel better. Now I can implement all of the other things that are helping me get to that root cause. But then also at the same time, I never look at mushrooms as a Band-Aid. So an adrenal glandular, for instance, I would look at that as a Band-Aid support to really just juicify your adrenals. Be like, here, have all the things. Let's bring you up. But I don't look at mushrooms as the same way, because I really feel that they're helping your body at that root level, but also give you that instantaneous, at least I feel like you do with cordyceps. You have that instantaneous energy. So that's the one we bring in so much. And then, of course, reishi. I actually use reishi, if we ever have anybody with HPA axis extreme dysfunction, which is a lot of people, but very, very stressed, can't sleep. But I also bring it in when I have clients on their Dutch with their androgens, when they're favoring that alpha pathway with how they're moving their androgens. It is so useful for my PCOS clients. That one, along with myo-inositol, which is not a mushroom, I just use all of the time. It's actually, people are like, oh, you can take this supplement and this supplement, and my hands down, I'm bring in reishi for that, because it helps so much with moving that pathway, but it also helps with their stress, which is going to be helping with insulin resistance, which is another. Now we're just getting technical, why that pathway is that way. But those are the two that I say bring in most commonly. We bring in the 4 mushroom blend with PCOS clients because of the maitake all the time. That's our PCOS recommendation. But something that has been more recent, because I've also been working with a lot more clients with Lyme. Oh, my Lanta, can we just talk about chaga and lion's mane?
Yes. Yes.
It's always about the 30-day mark. I will have the clients that be like, oh, so one of the big things with Lyme is clients, the way they describe it is they disassociate, where it's they feel like their life is happening, but they're not in their life.
Yep. Non-player character.
Yes. Lion's mane and chaga for Lyme has been magical. I don't know, Desiree, if you initially were the one that told me about this a long time ago. I don't know.
There's a blog on our website about it. We have a longtime client customer who's actually become a friend of my husband Craig's with Lyme's. And he, I'm going to say 3 years ago, asked us the question. And that I think everything we've developed at Eversio has been because someone asked a great question. Because we started out with 4 products, and it was the products that I wanted lion's mane, so we had lion's mane. Craig wanted cordyceps, so we had cordyceps. When he asked the question and we dove into, what's the best thing for him, we didn't have chaga. Chaga was a new launch because we started reading their research and wanted to help this guy who was actually having some effects from lion's mane alone. And then when we dove in deeper and saw, chaga, there is some good research here, let's try it. And when he put the two together, we launched it to the world. That's when we started talking about it a little bit more. I think there's a blog on our website and we mention it in one of our podcast episodes. But so interesting for you to say that, because not a lot of people find anything. There's a lot of people out there just going, nothing touches it. Nothing helps. There's too many, there's constellation of symptoms. They don't know which one to address first. And I think that's what I love about mushrooms is they're not working on one organ system pathway. They're so modulating and all encompassing that when you take a mushroom, it's doing multiple things at the same time and behaving like food in that way. So it's so cool for you to say that. And chaga is, I think, one of our unsung heroes, right? It's not a sexy mushroom. It's not putting you to sleep. It's not, giving you this massive energy. It's not the big immune function one.
Yeah.
So it's so interesting that you bring it up. And I love that you're using it in a protocol and seeing the effects there. And yes, with lion's mane, definitely such a great one.
It must have been you guys, and I read some study on that because I bring that for all of my patients with Lyme now, and it makes the biggest difference when they've done all the other things. That's where I think, as with anything that you're bringing in, you can't expect the same difference if we're not balancing our blood sugar. We're not focusing on your nervous system. We're not focusing on sleep. We're not focusing on nourishment. But I really feel like it kind of like rocket ships all of those things. And I also have a lot of, I thought I was the only crazy one when I found you guys. And I ordered every mushroom, like literally every mushroom.
I remember that.
You were the math. You were like, oh my gosh, there's mushroom math and I'm into it. And you're calculating out. Do you know how much is in here?
Well, you kept ordering collections.
Yes. I'm like, I need all of these mushrooms. But it's so funny because I have so many people that actually become clients, and I'm going through their labs and they put their supplements and they use the mushrooms and they use all of them. And I was like, you're a podcast listener, but also you're cool.
And you're going to be fine.
Yes. I'm like, I'm not the only one that loves all of that, but it truly does make a difference. I was talking to another practitioner and we were talking about a client's lab who has like massive insulin resistance, which is impacting like his kidney function. And we were like, maitake would be a good one. And he goes, if you want a higher dose maitake, he like stated this other brand. And I was like, oh, you would have to take 14 capsules of that. And he was like, what? I'm like, have you looked at the study for maitake, like the actual dosage? And that's the thing that I think people don't do. Because what on every other brand out there, I promise you what it says, therapeutic dosage, 250 milligrams.
Yeah.
1-to-1 extract.
Yeah.
And so they're like, oh, therapeutic dosage, so cool. And I'm like, yeah, if you want to take 20 of those.
But I think they're just going on. I think there's so many other brands out there. We never want to slag anyone else, but there's a lot of supplement companies out there that have mushrooms in the line. And I think when we came out 5 years ago, one of the things that we've stayed true to is all we do is mushrooms. We're truly mushroom nerds, and we're go big or go home. We're in Canada, and we have Health Canada to answer to, and we just went right to the top and said, "What's the most we can put in?" And then that's what we put in. So then you don't have to guess. Am I getting enough? Well, if Health Canada says this is the maximum acceptable dose, it's because they have looked at all of the research to decide because there's taking too much as well. Like I on the other side think there are probably people that think if 2 capsules are good and Eversio says that's the maximum acceptable dose, 4 is going to be better. And there's as much research saying more isn't better. Like your body can only use so much. So I love that you appreciated that about us, because that was a very rare thing for people to actually sit and calculate like we were and do the mushroom math to figure it out. So I think you led the way on that in the beginning.
Yeah, I really think you did. Yeah, because I remember, Leah, we were having conversations about the extraction ratio and how to calculate a therapeutic dose and what the research is showing. And I just remember that like light bulb moment. You're like, oh my God. Well, like, what is going on? Why are there so many products out there that aren't therapeutically dosed and you're recommending them to clients, and you don't want clients to have to fork out all of this money on something that isn't a therapeutic dose. Like, why take 20 when you could take one capsule per day and it'll last you 60 days? And I think that's one of the biggest myths and misconceptions out there for people that, with clients and patients. It's a lot about educating them on that.
And I think that's a lot with a lot of supplements. And the only thing I can really come up with is marketing. Because if you see a product, you automatically just assume it's a month dosage, right? Like,
Right.
or 2 months at max. But when you see something, you're like, I'm going to buy that. It's going to be for a month. And you go $30. Great. But then what you don't realize is what the dosage you need is, And I see this with, I'm just going to use like myo-inositol and ALA, for example. Like if you're somebody who is not ovulating, your dosage of myo-inositol and ALA is a lot higher than the dosage that comes on a standard bottle where it's like one capsule, 100 milligrams. I'm like, oh no, you have to take a lot more than that. So when somebody sees that and they go, oh, $30, that's great. And then there's another company where it's like $60. They're like, well, I'm not buying that one. I'm like, yeah. But the $60 one, you only have to take one capsule. That's why it's $60. But this one over here, you're taking 8 capsules a day. It's not cheaper. And I think it's marketing. That's the only thing I can come
and
up
that's
with.
hard for people. That's where they get them every time because nobody wants to do the math. Nobody wants to stand there. And by the time people are in the state that they're looking for something, so if they're standing in a health food store, they're not getting it from you. There is no one there to educate them. And if you're standing in a health food store and you are reading a label, you are already in a dysregulated state to have been inspired to get in your vehicle and go there in the first place. Like you're already in a state of need. You are not in a place to stand there and do the math and compare it to the research and be in that place. So there's such a gift to have someone like you on your side to say, you know what, you don't have to do the math because I did. Or a brand that cares, a brand that's, this is the thing, we're actually using the products, right? Dr. Desiree, she's a naturopathic doctor. If she's going to use the product herself, doesn't that just speak for itself? And my story being so similar to yours, that my health was terrible for a long time, right? For decades before I figured out to take control myself. And when I did I was just like you. I'm going to read the research. I'm going to read the books. I'm going to read the articles. When I discovered what I needed to do, I did it for me. And it worked for me. And then I decided I'm going to tell everyone else. And it becomes a company. So I think you're right. That's not marketing. That's lived experience and a heart that wants to share it and wants to for everyone to have that experience. And we call that conscious business. And I think that's what you're doing, right? Your clients come to you and it's not just clients. What you're doing on social media is making everyone in the world able to be your client and hear it from you because you talk it's such real talk.
Yeah, you're very authentic. I love listening to your podcast episodes and your, ads and all the things. And it's like, oh, Leah's just talking to me. We're just friends. We're just, and
it's not marketing.
It's not marketing. It's authenticity and education. And you genuinely want that for other people. And you can feel that vibe speaking to you and also just from all the information that you're putting out there. And I think this leads into a segue of a really controversial topic. So
let's go.
I think let's do it because you've had 3 babies. You have 3 babies. And we know each pregnancy is unique. And you have been vocal about using functional mushrooms throughout your pregnancy. Are you able to share about that experience, how you use functional mushrooms while you were pregnant?
Yeah. So I found you guys when my second kiddo was like 6 months old, maybe.
I was going to say not walking. I just remember you holding him.
Yeah. And I had previously been using mushrooms before that from a different brand. And I feel like that's very important for this next statement. I don't know if people have heard about a reishi baby before. But, they say if you take therapeutic dosage of reishi while you're pregnant, it helps your baby's nervous system and they're much calmer and happier baby. Therefore, it's called a reishi baby. I took reishi with my second. He was not a calm, happy baby. He was not. he was, Killian. That's my best description of him. My third kiddo, I took reishi from you guys all the way through my pregnancy, and he is a very calm and happy baby, and everybody comments on it. They're just like, he's happy. I was like, yes, he's my reishi baby.
My high quality reishi baby.
Yes, my actual reishi baby. And I do, like, obviously I know there's just kids' personalities are kids' personalities, but you can definitely see he's just very calm baby. Like, he is able to do so many more things nervous system wise. Like, he just is a happy being. He wants people to hold him and all of that. But I think that was like such a stark difference of like, see, dosage matters. Dosage really matters. But then I just used it to support where I was. Especially in that first trimester when you're nauseous and you absolutely, we know Leah loves coffee. I despise coffee when I get pregnant. I don't know what it is. It's like the smell of it. I can't stand it. The taste, absolutely no coffee for me. But you also have first trimester fatigue. So I would do the 3 mushroom blend. And I know everybody's like, but all these aversions, you just put it in this much water, you guys, and you just take it.
Okay,
like
that's very unique about you. Explain that a little bit more, because people are like, well, what do you mean she didn't drink coffee and she took it? Because we're talking about a blend. This is a very highly concentrated blend of extracts. It's bitter. It's astringent. So explain what you do with it, because I think you're the only one.
Well, yeah, I just don't care about gross things. I'm like, if it's going to be beneficial, but so many people try and drink gross things in like this massive amount of water. Let me dilute it. Let me make it taste good. I'm like, no, you put it in like the tiniest amount of water. You like froth it up so it's blend, and you get your water bottle with electrolytes and you literally breathe in. And then as you're breathing out, you take it, you drink it really fast. And before you breathe in again, you drink your water. It has like, by doing that, you actually barely taste it, because when you breathe in is when all of your taste buds are like, oh,
You're so funny. You're literally talking about doing a shooter. You're doing a mushroom shooter.
I've never taken a shot in my life.
You don't need to, because you have mushrooms. There's no need for alcohol for you.
Yes.
And I have to say this too. When we met you admitted to us you actually don't like mushrooms, and you're like, guys, I don't know if I could taste it, because you had used mushrooms in the past, but always in a capsule, and we were encouraging you, like, we really think this 3 mushroom blend is going to be the one, and you're like, I can't taste it. I hate mushrooms. They're gross. And I remember that day thinking, she is my work. I am going to make this woman understand the power of the kingdom fungi. And when you told us, I'm drinking the mushrooms, that was it. I could retire now. My life is good. So I love that's this other way. I mean, we do not, obviously, we've got hundreds of recipes on our website, and none of them say put an inch of water in a cup, add the blend, and drink it as a shooter. But it so works for you. It's your way.
It does. And like, I'll also make hot chocolate with my kiddos, and we'll put the 4 mushroom blend in there. Or literally when you guys had the 6 mushroom blend, we would do that one. But either one, I would do that with them. And that was like a ritual. But if I'm not going to have hot chocolate at night and I still want the 4 mushroom blend, that is how I get it down. Like it's just is. It's simple. It's easy. But that is the one that I used the most in that first part of pregnancy to help with, because I had 2 kids, you don't have time to like, not be functioning. And you really don't taste it when you do it like that. The key is the breathing, you guys. It works really well. If I didn't take it for that day, I would take cordyceps by itself because it was a capsule form. But I do actually significantly notice a difference when I take the 3 mushroom blend versus the capsules.
Better together.
They just work really well. That will be my life goal, is to get my husband to take the 3 mushroom blend, because he does the capsules. But I took that one, and then I took reishi at nighttime. And that's what I stuck with for my first trimester. And then as we started heading into my second trimester, the one that the two actually that I was really focused on were the 4 mushroom blend, because of maitake and chaga. So while you are pregnant, you actually naturally become more insulin resistant. Now, I am someone naturally who, if I'm going to head somewhere in the blood sugar world, it's going to be that way. I'm going to head towards the insulin resistance. And so I definitely always focus on that with my food. But again, this is the difference between the pregnancies, which again, I have so much more knowledge, so much more time under my belt. So it's hard to always say like this was the reason, because I also had 2-3 more years working on my health in between the pregnancies. But I would definitely get low blood sugar with my second pregnancy. I remember it would just go down in the toilet, and I'd be like, I need to eat. I don't feel well. And that would definitely affect my nausea. And so because I knew you're naturally more insulin resistant, I brought in the maitake, I brought in the chaga to help with that. And I never had an issue. Never.
Amazing.
And when I did the, you have to do that blood sugar screening.
Yes.
Somewhere in the second trimester. I don't know.
Yeah.
My numbers were great. My fasting blood sugar was 78, and I took, I had to do drink the fresh sugar, whatever it's called. It's literally just like sugar and water. And it was great. Like, it came right back down. It didn't go super high. And I remember my doctor being like, "Are you sure this is your fasting glucose number?" I was like, "It is?"
Yes, I'm on mushrooms.
And it made such a difference. It was also the pregnancy that I was the least active, because I had a subchorionic hemorrhage. And so like I was on bed rest for 6 weeks. And also the pregnancy where I gained the least amount of weight. Which, like, I don't gain a ton of weight with any of my pregnancies, but it was the least. And so I was like, I really do attribute that to like just super stable blood sugar, because that does affect your metabolic health so much. So I used them all, but like that was the reasoning behind why I used them.
It's so interesting to hear somebody who understands the mechanism of action for the mushroom. Like, you understand the science, you know the human body so well, to be able to put it into practice in your own body. Like, what a gift. What a gift for you to just have shared what you shared. We sit here in Canada where we literally cannot recommend, talk about, offer mushrooms to women who are pregnant, because Health Canada's stance is, if there hasn't been research, we're not putting it on a label. So because of that, it's not that there's not lots of women out there taking them during pregnancy. We can't say it or recommend it, but you can. and I love that you do, because you're the N of one. You're the study. You are the research.
Yeah.
And I think there's no better research than just ask the women who are doing it. Right? We don't have to go to the government all the time for the facts when we have women in the world in our lives that will speak of it. So thank you so much for sharing that journey. Love that so much.
And it's important to note, too, when we look at Health Canada's mushroom monograph, there are 2 functional mushrooms as well that don't have this note to consult a healthcare practitioner prior to pregnancy and breastfeeding. 2 of them are reishi and maitake. And even then, like you mentioned, Brandi, like there are women who are still uncomfortable about that. And it's always best to, chat with a healthcare practitioner who knows this history. But now the benefits of taking a reishi capsule or maitake capsule now, right, for supporting your immune system, supporting that insulin piece to make sure that that is managed throughout your pregnancy, is cool. And now you can take it in a capsule.
Yeah, so you don't have to take it like a shot.
Yeah, there you go. So is there any sort of advice that you would give women who are maybe functional mushroom curious during pregnancy, but don't really know where to start? Would you say those 2, or what's your opinion?
I would definitely say reishi. But see, the thing is, and this is what I always tell women, they're like, should I take it? Is it safe? I'm like, I'll tell you what I did, and then you can make your own decision. This is what
Yes.
I personally did. I look at mushrooms are food. So like taking
Yes.
a food for me is very, very different than like taking ALA. It's just
Yeah.
wildly different on how your body would interact with that. I would really advise you to think about what your symptoms are during pregnancy and try and support yourself backwards from that. So if like you get really tired all of the time, and the tiredness is maybe due to not being able to eat, not being able to balance your blood sugar, all of those types of things, I really am going to toggle between like the 3 mushroom blend and getting my Taki in there, because I do notice with a lot of women that the more stable you can keep your blood sugar, the better your
Everything.
nausea is. So
Yes. It affects
it kind
everything.
of,
It's never going to not be the boring basics,
yes, it's
right?
so
Sleep,
important.
blood sugar, like it's just
Yes.
you don't know until you feel it
Hmm.
how much it affects everything else down the line. And I love
Yeah.
that mushrooms are able to go in there and be the thing that is kind of affecting down the line. But the way that you brought it in so specifically, I think is why you had that great benefit. So I think asking them to be honest with themselves, like people have to do an inventory, they have to know themselves to know where they're going to start on the line.
Yeah. The other thing, not to like poke a bigger bear, but like I do have a lot
Poke,
of women.
poke.
Poke the bear.
Well, they are already pregnant, and they will say like, with my past pregnancies, I had preeclampsia, I had
Mm.
gestational diabetes, and what can I do? And I'm like, so that's your husband, and that was a long time ago, like 3 months ago. So if you are in the realm of I want to get pregnant, I would really recommend your husband getting on cordyceps, because the better you can get the sperm quality and
Mm.
support him and his nutrition. So maybe just have your husband do the
Preach,
5
sister.
because he'll
Takes
have
two to
cordyceps.
tango.
It does. And that's the thing. Don't come. I mean, yes, come to us when you're pregnant, but it's like when you're coming to us already pregnant. And this is the biggest complaint. It's hard to tactfully be like, well, unfortunately, this is actually a big part of this is your husband. So I would do cordyceps. I would recommend actually he do the 5 mushroom blend, because if he can dial in his blood sugar
Mhm.
as well, so he has cordyceps and maitake, he's going to
Yeah.
be better off there. But then
Yeah.
also, if you are leaning towards the gestational diabetes and preeclampsia, and those are a lot of concerns, you're probably going to want to be staying away from caffeine. So it's, again, you're looking at something that's going to support your blood sugar and energy. And if you're looking at only one, you want to bring in one thing, I would say the 5 mushroom blend, which is your guys' newest blend.
Yeah.
So
Which we made for you because the day that you told us, I got everything done on my to-do list because of the cordyceps. And my husband saw it and then he asked for it. And then you made more babies because when we look at reproductive health and all the research around
yes.
cordyceps, if you're both, and I mean, you're not the only one. We have so many people that understood the benefits of cordyceps. Their husband saw it, which I think there's no better marketing than you
Yeah.
not having to say a thing, but somebody
Mhm.
seeing you be
Yes.
awesome and then go, I want what she's having. That's the best way. And if it's someone you love, oh my gosh, when you have two people in a relationship, both taking
Mhm.
cordyceps and then you build a baby, hallelujah. You are donating the best that you have to give.
Yes,
And I think
100%.
if you like you're saying to be proactive, and it's not the way for everyone, but if you
Mhm.
are someone planning, start before you're
Mhm.
pregnant with the mushrooms so that
Mhm.
you just have this foundation to build on. And I think it could be a game changer for humanity. I don't mean to be dramatic, but we hear the word spermageddon all the time, right?
Yeah.
There is sperm quality is not okay right now.
Yeah.
And if we could think of something we could do to benefit, and again, it's the boring basics. There are many
Mhm.
things we have to do for it, but we see the research with cordyceps for
Mhm.
men and their sperm quality. I mean, Dr. Desiree goes into amazing detail in a few podcast episodes that we have, but you are someone that did live it and get your husband taking it. And I know he asks, I think he calls it like the red bottle.
Yeah. He doesn't know the name of it, but
We could never change the colors. We could never change the colors.
he would be so confused. But I do get him. He would take the 3 together. He would take he calls them the red, the blue, and the purple.
Yeah.
But he would take them all together in the morning. He doesn't do the powder, but he does take those because he doesn't get sick. This is a turkey.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's the turkey tail, the power of the synergy with all of them. Okay, another controversial topic, which we kind of already touched on, but we're going to piggyback into
Let's just go.
because we're poking the bear. We're doing it. You already mentioned a little bit before how you do give your kids functional mushrooms. You mentioned in a hot cocoa. What does that look like, incorporating that into your kids' wellness routines? And what have you noticed from your kids, like the benefits since adding them in?
So it is trickier, I find, with kids because, I do really have to mask the flavor, and my kids are little, so they're not pill swallowers. So how I do it, one of the main ways that I've found to be useful is smoothies, popsicles, and the energy balls that we make, and hot cocoa. So those are the ones that we fit them in. They are less consistent of everybody in our family because it just does depend if they eat one of those foods. But I notice the biggest difference with immune function. Oh my gosh. If I could be like, eat that. I would because I definitely notice such an improvement in, them not getting every sniffling cold that goes around the world. So that is probably the biggest one. And then reishi specifically, if I find a way to get more consistent with this with my second, I will update the world. But it does help with his big emotions. He's a very big emotional child, and whether that's really happy or like really frustrated because his Legos don't go together, and reishi helps with that and helps him wind down for the night a lot. But those are the ways I get them in. We make homemade popsicles, and I put blends in there because the blends are just less bitter, I guess, than any of them. So I do that. I never give my kids cordyceps. They don't need any more energy. So
if you were going to build a blend for kids, not in Canada because we can't. Although I think, I say we can't, but I think anything's possible. And I think if we one day could fund enough research, we could get it passed through for kids. It's just, are we ever going to be in a place to be able to fund the research and you would be in it and your kids would be the guinea pigs in the research.
Yeah.
But if you were going to create a blend for kids, what would it be?
Just don't call it for kids, just give another name.
We'll just let you tell people that one.
Use this.
We'll make it rainbow with some sparkles.
Yes.
Yeah.
Make it a fun color.
Yeah.
Definitely reishi. So I would definitely bring in reishi and probably lion's mane, actually, especially for like your kids' focus. And then most likely I would probably pair 3. I want to say turkey tail.
Yes, that's my blend. See?
So that's probably what I would do, because if you think about what you want with your kids, it's going to be calmness, it's going to be focus, and it's going to be immune system. The other reason why I would use turkey tail is really good at reseeding the gut. So if your kids have ever been on antibiotics, that's a really good one to bring in.
Yes, I was a teacher for 20 years before I became a mushroom nerd. And I will tell you, that's my blend. That is, if I could give that blend to every child who was coming through the classroom, I know there isn't a kid out there that wouldn't benefit from that combination. And we know mushrooms, when you said you like them together, there's enough research out there. They work synergistically. The compounds, and they have unique compounds. They have similar compounds. They all have beta-glucans, but some of them have unique compounds that will benefit and enhance the beneficial compounds in another mushroom. They're just better together. Like us, like humans, we're better together. And if a kid is coming into a classroom, we just did an episode, a back to school episode, talking about how the family can prepare for what's coming. Because like you said, there are snotty nosed kids out there. There are kids that just always have a perpetual snotty nose. They don't have the immune system is not strong in everyone. And if you can send your kid in with a bit of resilience, or if you're not someone who's willing to give them to your kids, you're going to follow all the rules. You build your resilience so that when your children bring it home to you, you have the benefit. Who does not want to send their kid to school with immune strength? That's your turkey tail. Who does not want to send your kid to school ready to focus and have brain power? That's lion's mane. And who does not need more calm and stress resilience in today's educational environment, no matter what it is? And I think, Leah, the audience might not know, you have a son in kindergarten this year. It can be very stressful for everyone involved. The teacher is managing a handful, parents that are new to it. I know even for you, sending a little one off to kindergarten is stressful for mamas and dads because you feel like you're being disconnected for the first time. It's a hard thing. And for the child, it's all new, and that can cause anxiety no matter if the child has experienced it before or not. If we could give them one thing, if Health Canada would listen and say, it's okay, they're just food, that would be the magical blend. I'm so glad you shared that.
So I have taken applesauce and like sprinkled a mushroom in it just a little bit. You know, if I have one capsule, it will last both my kids like 3 days. So like it's definitely a lower dosage, but they're little tiny humans. But you should make that blend, and you can just call it something else.
We'll call it the Leah blend.
Yeah.
And then we'll let you tell everyone.
Yeah, call it that blend. And then I'll just share how I use it. That's what I do with everything. Like people will say, you're taking that while you're pregnant or breastfeeding. It says not to. And I'm like, well, this is what I do. You can make your own decision.
Yeah. There's plenty of pregnant women drinking alcohol on the internet saying what they want to say about it. And they're saying this is what I'm doing. And I mean, how we share it and why we share it is really up to us. You have to use your discernment to decide what you're listening to and who you're listening to. Leah is a well-educated, incredibly healthy, somebody, like we said, has lived it yourself and is sharing it. So if I'm going to listen to people, those are the people I'm looking for.
You've packed in so much value, Leah, about pregnancy, about kids, and all these little tips and tricks. And like Brandi said, you're really living it. You're just sharing authentically with how you do it for kind of, some, I guess, last value for people in terms of women's hormones. What is one thing that you wish every woman knew about her hormones? Or it could be more than one, but like, what are some, hot takes about women's hormones that you wish women knew?
So I have a couple. I think maybe the one that sits above the totem pole is that like hormones don't have to suck. I think that we go into our health thinking that we can hate our bodies into healing, because why does everybody start their health journey? It's because they have a symptom that they hate, right? It's like, I'm losing my hair. I have no energy. I can't get pregnant. And we think we can just go in there to manipulate a symptom. And I truly don't think you can hate your body into healing, and if you could instead look at, that symptom is your body communicating, and the symptoms come in so much later than the problem. So you've been having this problem for a really long time, and thank heavens you have a symptom now to tell you, because we were not paying attention to it before. And I think that that's, in that way, those symptoms are a gift, before it becomes something way bigger and way more expensive. But it really does have to flip that viewpoint on how we look at our hormones. I have a lot of women who will tell me, just you wait, Leah. I'm like, just wait till what? I'm like, I've lived the horrendousness where I would warn people, like when I had to cycle on progesterone, I'm like, just warning you, roommate, like I'm about to go on progesterone, and it would just make me crazy. And I had the painful periods. They ruled my life. I did have low progesterone. I wasn't able to get pregnant, and if we instead can flip it, okay, cool. Like what are my hormones telling me? What is my cycle telling me? How can I work with this and make that flip is a big step towards healing. Your health isn't a checklist. You know, it's not like how many things can I check off today? It's an experience. And it's kind of cool, I think, like as a woman, like how much you can romanticize the everyday life with like the rituals and things that you can do for your health and taking those moments. So that's probably my top thing. And then my close second is that it's not taboo or TMI to talk about things. And I treat it very matter-of-factly to try and take that stigma away. Like I still have clients that will say things like, so I know ovulation's coming up, Leah, because like I can just tell. And I'm like, yeah, because you have cervical mucus. It's a work.
Yeah.
Let's just say it.
It's
Yeah,
natural.
and
Part of life.
yes, but it's just so they just can't talk about it, you know?
No,
or
because we did a terrible job in the education system not teaching people,
Yes.
humans, about their own bodies. Like, to me, that is the failure. Why can't we say cervical mucus? That's science. That is biology. We can't say it because it's not in the curriculum. And why isn't it there? Well, that's a whole other story. But I love that you bring that up. It's so true. We've got to start treating our bodies what they are. They are biology. They are science. And we all have them, right? All of my favorite people are humans.
Mhm.
We're not different. We've all got the same stuff. Why are we hiding it from each other? When it becomes part of the conversation, now those little whispers can be heard more because you have awareness and you don't have to wait for the screaming. I love that you said that. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Well, the other thing is, I don't think people even know what is or isn't normal because
Yes.
nobody talks about it.
Yeah.
So it's either we think we're weird because we never hear anybody else talk about it, so we have to be weird, or we just think it's normal and everybody has it, so obviously I shouldn't bring this up to my doctor or anything else. So
Yeah.
that was my number 2. And my number 3 is that the non-sexy, boring foundations will truly change your life if you do them.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I have yet to bring in a client who doesn't go, well, what supplement can I take for that?
Yeah. They want the quick fix.
Mhm.
There isn't one. There isn't one. Let's just tell them all.
Yeah.
That's not a thing.
It's really reconditioning people to do the boring basics. It's not sexy, but like you said, you have to romanticize your life with the boring basics because it will change your life. But a lot of it is educating and fighting through that resistance with people because we've been conditioned to think that healing is outside of ourselves and healing is from a supplement or a pill or this or that, something fancy, biohacking, that's going to change my life. And sure, it can, but you have to do the basics. You have to do these boring basics is the best
and
way
you can
that
make
you
them
described
fun.
it.
I think the thing is all these tools we've been given out there help to make the boring basics not so boring. I love my red light. Do I need it? I do not need it. But it makes it kind of fun, so I use it. And mushrooms are like that for me. You know, you need to sleep. That's one of the boring basics. Is there a mushroom that can support that? Yes. You need to move. You have to move your body. It's a boring basic. Is there a mushroom that can help you want to do that? Maybe cordyceps is going to give you a bit of energy so you feel like going for that walk, whatever it is, right? You have to eat. You have to nourish your body. If you put some mushrooms in there and they're going to upgrade what you have to eat. Anyway, right? Leah's going to make the little energy bites because she's seed cycling, and that's how she's getting her seeds in there. Throwing the mushrooms in is just kind of fun. It's a way to upgrade the life you already have to live. And I think that is why I fell in love with mushrooms in the beginning when I knew nothing about them was I didn't have to change what I was already doing. They upgraded the things I was already doing, and it kind of became fun. Because honestly, like you said, we're meant to experience joy. Right? Your health shouldn't be a checklist that feels awful and painful and yucky. We're here to experience joy. So have a good time with it. And learning can be part of that joy, right? We're meant to grow our brains. The new knowledge you learn when you learn about yourself makes you a more interesting human. So, and that's easier when there's people like you out there sharing it the way that you do with your lack of filter and your TMI and you're not embarrassed about
relatable.
anything. It's fantastic.
Yeah. I appreciate that, but I really do think that like any supplement and any mushroom is going to only amplify what you have. Like
Yeah.
I think that a lot of times we will say this will fix my issue, and I'm like, well, if you aren't getting off your screen before bed and you are,
Right.
eating right before bed and you're not balancing your blood sugar, there's only so much reishi can do for you to help you sleep,
Yeah.
And when I talk about these things that I truly find life-changing, it's because it amplifies what I am already doing, Like I do love my red light and I love my mushrooms, but you can't skip over all of the other things to do that. And I do think, though, that sometimes for people, adding something like that in gives them that little juice of motivation to be like, I'm
Yeah.
changing this. So now I'm going to change the lifestyle thing so I can see the full benefit. So I do see that. And I think that's where, because we do obviously do protocols based on labs, and we look at this lab and we go, okay, does this make sense based on your
Right.
lifestyle, why
Yeah.
this lab is saying this?
Yeah.
And because they have that hard data, those numbers, it can really make them go, okay, now I have to shift that lifestyle. And that's where I think the supplements and the mushrooms can come in, because they're like, okay, let's get the best bang for my buck. But
Right. And I do think anything you're doing out there, whether it's mushrooms or anything else, it has to be something you can measure if you're going to be able to feel good about it, the time and the investment to do it. And I love that you're somebody that does do the data piece, right? You can measure, when you can measure the benefit. If I had a seizure way back when, it was one of the reasons I looked for lion's mane in my life. I had an MRI on my brain. I've seen it. Now I've taken mushrooms for 5 years. I've had another MRI. I can see the difference. If you can measure it, you don't have to question things, and then you can feel good about continuing to do it. Like, there's never going to be a day I'm not taking lion's mane, and every day I take it, I know it's making a difference because I was able to measure it. So finding that way, whatever it is, whether it's labs or what you're doing, and it could just be the way that you feel. It's through journaling. It doesn't have to be from an actual paid, service to measure, but you should be able to measure a difference, a change for you if you're going to continue with something for your health. Don't take it just because your neighbor's taking it. Take it because you know it's making a difference for you. That's what we want for everyone.
Yeah,
Totally.
100%.
This episode, I feel like we could talk for hours and hours. We're just gonna fly out to Michigan and come and say hi.
Yes.
And then I think, we'll have some mushroom pot cocoa.
Thank you for listening to today's episode of Balancing Hormones Naturally. If you found this helpful, I would love for you to share it with a friend and post it on your stories and tag Balancing Hormones Naturally podcast so we can get this message out. You can find me on Instagram at Leah_BRUEG, and I would absolutely love to hear from you.